I plead ignorance of symptoms. I know nothing of their histories, their Latin names, their trajectories. I plead ignorance of causes and effects as the world traces them on charts. Yet I know this: grace is present. The word is grace. The word is grace. And because grace is present, the scene before you is never final, never sovereign, never self-powered. Divine healing is not a repair shop. It is a recognition. It is the dawning awareness that presence is the life of you, and presence needs no mending. Be still and know that I am God. Not be busy, not be clever. Be still and know. You see, we do not begin with struggle. We do not begin with tools to adjust matter or manage circumstance. We begin with grace as sufficiency. Thy grace is my sufficiency. Thy grace is sufficient for me. Grace is the life that is whole before a remedy is conceived. Grace is the answer that includes the question, the light that dissolves the issue by revealing the unreality of its pretense. So when we speak of healing, let us be quick to understand that we are not empowering a problem with our attention. We are recognizing God as the only law, the only life, the only cause. Now, let us put it this way, plainly. The moment you react to an appearance, you have entered into agreement with it. Reaction is not neutral. Reaction is consent. It is the inner yes that says, I acknowledge you, I accept your jurisdiction. And in that instant, the appearance has continuity, a lease to stay in your house because you have signed it. Don't argue this with me. Watch it in yourself. A twinge in the body, a figure on a statement, a word from a neighbor, and there rises the gasp, the flinch, the rush to answer, to defend, to calculate. That movement is the unseen contract. That movement says, you have the right to be here and to dictate my thought. I am asking you now not to fix anything, not to pray 1,000 words at an appearance, but to see what you habitually sign, signatures of fear, yes, signatures of resentment, of diagnosis and prognosis, of shame, of lack. You see the paper and you sign before you have read the terms. Well, pause, just pause. Identify what you sign silently, honestly, without judgment, without trying to change it by force. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Let the Lord build this awareness. Let the light show you the ink on your own fingers. The seeing is already the beginning of the release. For there are two kingdoms operating in one moment. The nations of the world live by reaction and evidence. They seek after what they shall eat, and what they shall drink, and wherewithal they shall be clothed. And the Master says, therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat. Consider the ravens, consider the lilies. Luke 12. That is kingdom logic. My kingdom is not of this world's anxieties. World logic says, prove it to me first, then I shall rest. Kingdom recognition says, I rest, and therefore it is proved. World logic petitions the appearance. Kingdom recognition communes with God. One binds itself to the evidence it worships. The other is free before the evidence appears. No, you need not argue a symptom into surrender. Argument is just more ink on the same contract. No, you need not rally your will. Will is a poor carpenter for a divine house. What then? Consent must end. Reaction must be recognized as the yes that binds. And in that recognition, the yes is withdrawn. Grace begins where consent ends. It is not passivity. It is jurisdiction reclaimed. It is the heart saying, Father, thou art the life here. My eyes are on thee. You see, as recognition dawns, God is life, God is law, God is sufficiency. The appearance is left without your endorsement, without your breath to animate it. So let us stand here at the foundation and be honest. Where do I sign? Where do I nod to fear and bow to reports? Let the question work in you today, not to accuse, but to illumine. Hold this quietly. The word is grace. The word is grace. And every time the hand of reaction reaches for the pen, be still long enough to remember whose kingdom you inhabit. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. And by that spirit you will find that recognition, not struggle, is the beginning of healing. Now we must come to the measuring line, and it is not where religion usually puts it. No. No, faith is not your words. Faith is your reaction. You see, words may say, God is my sufficiency, but if at the first whisper of a symptom or a headline, your insides leap to defend, to plan, to bargain, then the heart has revealed its trust not in God, but in the report. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James 1. Double-mindedness is not a doctrine you hold. It is that instant flinch that says the evidence on the surface is ultimate, and therefore I must bow, I must resist, I must secure myself. That is the unseen agreement. Attention becomes law in your consciousness. I do not mean law to the universe. I mean law to your experienced world. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs. That is not permission to strain. It is a lamp to show you where influence enters. What you fight, you keep rehearsing as real. What you fear, you crown with authority. What you dramatize in inner cinema, you cast and then hire again for another scene tomorrow. The thing which I greatly feared is come upon me. Job 3:25. Not because fear has magic, but because fear is concentration. Fear is worship. Fear is a daily rehearsal that says to the appearance, you are worthy of my gaze, of my schedule, of my breath. And breath is life. Let us lay out the loop so that you may recognize it in your own house. An appearance arises, the twinge, the notice, the rumor. Reaction rushes in panic, self-protection, late-night calculations, a quick pilgrimage through 5 opinions for safety. Reaction paints pictures what tomorrow will do, how it will look, who will be there to say, I told you. Those pictures are taken up by your nerves and your breath. The body reads your canvas and conforms. The outer scene organizes itself around the story you keep retelling inside. And then you point to the confirmation and say, see, it is getting worse. But you see, it is not the appearance that fed on you. It is your attention that fed the appearance. Now, notice this distinction and keep it holy. Noticing is not reacting. Noticing is simple awareness, just the light turned on in the room. Noticing has no argument, no verdict, no timeline. It does not call 3 friends. It does not pack a bag. It does not make a monument out of a moment. Reaction is the inner court, convened at once, prosecutor, defense, exhibits, the whole pageantry, and you set the appearance upon the witness stand and give it the honor of center stage. Wouldn't you soon tire of it if your child came to you every hour, eyes wide, asking, is it bad now? Is it worse now? What shall we do? Wouldn't you say, child, rest. Breakfast is in the house. Your father knows, confer. Matthew 6. Luke 12. Consider the lilies. They neither debate nor dramatize. They are. Consider the ravens. They do not check the sky 10 times an hour. They are kept. Let us be honest here, not to accuse, but to illumine. Recall the last time the conditions seemed to grow teeth. Was it not after the 8th time you checked? After the hour you spent comparing stories, asking for reassurance, watching the inner film you yourself directed? If you doubt me, test it. Remember also the moments when you got busy with love, when you looked up and the day had carried you, the symptom had not been fed, and so it had not performed. No, no, I do not say pretend. I say withdraw the starring role. I say take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, what ye shall put on. Luke 12. Taking thought is not the grocery list. Taking thought is the fear-invested rehearsal that turns shadows into law. Faith, then, is measured by your non-reaction, by the quiet that refuses to sign. It is the swift inner turning that says, Father, here thou art the life. Not 100 phrases, not a battle plan recognition. You see, the less you argue, the less there is to argue with. The less you dramatize, the less scenery appears to sustain the drama. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, Hebrews 12:2, is a way of saying, let attention be sanctified. Let it be given to presence rather than to pictures. And so, when the next whisper comes, and it will come, for the nations of the world seek after such things, give yourself a small test. Catch the first reach of the hand to check, the first inner summons to court, and whisper, no, no, not to hate, not to fight, but to refrain from endorsement. Turn even 1 second to thy grace is my sufficiency. Thy grace is sufficient for me. You will find that the loop breaks not at the appearance, but at the consent. There, reaction loses its throne. There, faith is not loud, but it is law to your experience. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life, Proverbs 4:23. And as the heart is guarded not by walls, but by recognition, the symptom, starved of your attention, has nothing on which to feed. Now we come to a correction that will feel sharp to the mind that loves to manage, but it is mercy to the heart that longs to rest. Prayer, as most of us have learned to practice it, becomes reaction bathed in holy words. We see an appearance, we tremble, and then we petition God to make the trembling stop. And I must say to you with love and with firmness, that is a sin, not in the moral sense of making God angry, but in the metaphysical sense of missing the mark. It is the sin of granting the appearance power by treating it as law and then begging God to overrule the law we just crowned. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Matthew 6. If the Father knows before you ask, then what are these long speeches to the scene? You see, they are agreements in disguise. They say to the picture, you are real enough that I must secure a divine exception. But grace does not deal in exceptions. Grace is the law of being. Wouldn't you, in your own home, consider it a sin against your nature if your child came to you each dawn, knees knocking, hands clasped? Oh, mother, please may I have breakfast? Oh, father, please may I be safe on the way to school? Wouldn't you gather that child up and say, child, this house is your house. My heart is your safety. It is my pleasure to give you the kingdom of our little home. And do you not hear the Master say, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Luke 12:32. Your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. Matthew 6:32. To come daily, urgently, as if prying open God's hand for what love already pours forth, is to insult the nature of the Father in your own thought. No, no, not because God is offended, but because you have made the appearance your sovereign and prayer, your diplomacy with a foreign power. True prayer is not asking for things. True prayer is communion. True prayer says, Father, reveal thyself here, and leaves here undefined by fear. True prayer turns from the image, not in pretense, but because it recognizes a higher jurisdiction. My kingdom is not of this world. John 18:36. True prayer is Bethany, where the Master lifted his eyes and thanked before the bread multiplied, before the tomb opened. Thanksgiving in advance, not as technique, but as recognition that God is the only law ever present. For in thy light shall we see light, Psalm 36:9. When you say, God, change this, you are fastening your gaze upon this and making this your altar. When you say, Father, reveal thyself, you are beholding God as law, God as sufficiency, God as the substance and life of the scene, and the scene loses your endorsement as ruler. Let me tell you a little story, a parable for your own closet. A man sat by his window every evening and prayed, God, move this fog. God, remove this fog. Night after night, the fog thickened in his language and in his lungs. One evening, too tired to argue, he sighed and whispered, Father, thou art the light here. He did not watch the window. He did not time the fog. He entered the silence of recognition. In the morning, the sun had not learned a new trick. It had not come from another star. It had only revealed what was always there when the man ceased to certify the fog with his pleadings. Before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. Isaiah 65:24. You see, the answer is not a rearrangement of vapors. It is the unveiling of presence, where reaction had built a throne for absence. Do not mistake me. This is not positive thinking, not mental management, not putting ribbons on thorns. Positive thought still stares at the thorn and negotiates. Communion releases the thorn from your court and beholds God as the only life. The practice is simple, and it is strong. When you feel the urge to plead, God, change this, catch it as you would catch the hand that reaches for the old contract. Whisper, no, no. Then turn, Father, reveal thyself here. Thy grace is my sufficiency. Thy grace is sufficient for me. Enter your closet. Shut the door of attention to the picture, and let the Father who sees in secret be openly your peace. Matthew 6:6. You will find that the prayer of fear feeds the symptom, but the communion of recognition starves it not by war, but by ending its supply of your consent. And so we correct our praying. We stop petitioning appearances as if they were powers to be persuaded. We stop asking God to ratify our fear with a miracle. We begin to live the prayer that is presence. Be still and know that I am God. Then the next step is natural, not a battle with images, but the gentle withdrawal of agreement. We will come to that, and you will see how freedom comes, not by warfare, but by no longer signing your name to shadows. Let us stand now at the threshold where two kingdoms meet in one breath. The Master drew the line with a single mandate. Take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, neither for the body, what ye shall put on. Consider the ravens, consider the lilies. Luke 12. You see, that is not poetry for wall plaques. That is jurisdiction. That is government. Take no thought divides the nation of reaction from the kingdom of recognition. On one side, you have measuring, checking, comparing, forecasting, blaming, and then baptizing, the whole parade with the name prudence. On the other side, you have stillness that refuses tomorrow fear, not because needs are denied, but because fear is denied the right to interpret the scene. Your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Luke 12, 30, 32. World logic is a busy accountant of shadows. It wakes up checking the pulse, the market, the mirror, the neighbor's face, and it calls the sum of all those glances wisdom. It forecasts storms so incessantly that the forecast itself becomes a weather system in the soul. It blames the past, it scares the future, and it enthrones the present as nothing but a bridge between calamities. Then it says, well, I am only being realistic. No, you are being loyal to your fear and giving it robes and a gavel. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Matthew 6:27. Taking thought is not thoughtful stewardship. Taking thought is anxious rehearsal that makes pictures into law. Kingdom logic enters the same room, breathes the same air, receives the same envelope in the mail, and yet answers to a different court. It hears the whisper, what if this gets worse? And replies, I am with you always. Matthew 28-20. It does not argue with tomorrow. It releases tomorrow to God. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Matthew 6:34. Is the master's gentle way of saying, there is only now for grace, and grace is now. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. 2 Corinthians 6:2. Kingdom logic does not refuse to plan. It refuses to fear. It does not deny that food is needed. It denies that bread is God. It does not neglect the body. It refuses to let sensation define identity. You see, this is not carelessness. This is governance, spiritual government taking its seat where panic once legislated. Reaction always asks for time. Listen to it. What if it spreads? What if next month? What if reaction attempts to extend itself by projecting a theater call later, where it promises to produce even grimmer scenes. But grace is never later. Grace speaks in the present tense of the I am. I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. John 6:35, 8:12. The presence of God is not a promise on delivery. It is the life of this instant. World logic holds a stopwatch to your pulse. Kingdom recognition drops the watch and beholds life as God being timeless, lawfully whole. And when the jurisdiction shifts, the scene lacking your endorsement of fear loses its continuity. Let us put it plainly. Divine healing is not matter repairing matter. It is authority changing hands within your consciousness. Evidence-governed reaction says, I see, therefore I fear, therefore I pray to change what I see. God-governed recognition says, I know God, therefore I rest, therefore I see anew. My kingdom is not of this world. John 18:36 is not a location change. It is a governance change. It is the heart kneeling within itself and yielding its court to the Spirit. There, prayer ceases to be management and becomes illumination. There you are not idle. You are ruled from within by the law of grace. And where grace governs, the impulse to sign new contracts with appearances dries up for lack of interest. So when the picture knocks, hold this inner practice before you check, before you measure, before you consult 3 forecasts and 5 opinions. Pause and choose your court. Whisper, no, no. I will not convene the tribunal of fear. Turn, even for a breath, and say, Father, reveal thyself here. Thy grace is my sufficiency. Thy grace is sufficient for me. That is not laziness. That is spiritual government. That is your citizenship made practical. The kingdom of God is within you, Luke 17:21, and it is ready to rule, not with might, not with power, but by spirit. Choose the higher jurisdiction in the moment you are most tempted to be prudent with panic, and you will discover that recognition does what reaction never could. It establishes peace as law, and under that law, the body, the mind, the day find their right order without your anxious signature. Now let us look closely at the hinge on which the whole door swings. What is agreement? Not a signature on paper, but a signature in consciousness. Agreement is identification. It is that inner yes which says, this is me, this is mine. It has a future in my life. It has authority over my peace. The moment you say, my diagnosis, my nerves, my scarcity, my enemy, you have taken the cloak off an appearance and put it on your own shoulders. You see, the appearance is impersonal, just a picture on the screen of awareness, but identification personalizes it and grants it residence. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment, John 7:24. Righteous judgment is the refusal to call an image I. Let us name the common agreements so you may catch them in the act. Diagnosis is identity. I am diabetic. I am anxious. I am depressed. Family history is destiny. We all get this at 50. My people never had enough. Money as source. My job feeds me. This client keeps me safe. The market is my weather. Person as enemy. That one holds my peace hostage. Until they apologize, I cannot be free. Body as master. My body tells me who I am. Its report is my truth. Listen to the grammar here. The little I is busy marrying itself to every wind that blows. No, take the word I out of the dictionary, except when I refers to the divine presence. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Galatians 2:20. That is the holy correction. The true I is God being. All else is role, garment, channel, never source, never self. Well, let us put it this way. Impersonality is not coldness. It is warmth without bondage. To see impersonally is to recognize that symptoms, circumstances, and moods are not self. They are moving weather. They pass through the sky of awareness and have no power of their own until the heart says, yes, you are me, and you shall stay. The master did not attach himself to report or reaction. We walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7 is not a motto for recklessness. It is a law of identity. I am not the moving picture. I am the life in which the picture appears. When you give a condition your name, you give it your lease. When you let it be an impersonal picture, it has no furniture, no address, no mail. Consider a small parable for your inner room. A traveler entered a station, and a loudspeaker announced delays, storms, dangers down the line. One man said, "My journey is ruined," and sat to write letters of postponement. The announcement became his identity. Another lifted his eyes and said within, "Father, thou art the way in which I walk. Reveal thyself here." He did not argue with the speaker. He did not need a private forecast. He recognized the I that walks his presence, and in an hour he found himself on a quiet local that arrived before the express would have. The difference was not luck, it was identification. One man became the message. The other remained the instrument of God, and let God be the way. Agreement is the inner personalization that ties the infinite Son of God to a passing report. It whispers, "This is my cross," when in truth, the cross has already been borne. It is finished, John 19:30, means the self that must struggle for identity is over. "Call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven," Matthew 23-9, is another way of saying, refuse to source yourself in lineage, in economics, in sensation. You see, the minute you stop saying I plus the symptom, you stop feeding it with the electricity of self. How then shall you work with this? Begin not with war, but with language. Catch the small possessives. My, mine, me. Stop mid-sentence. Whisper, no, no, not I. Christ in me is the life here. Let the condition be impersonal, a picture in the window, not the owner of the house. If you must use words for practical dealings, keep them in their place. This body reports a pain, not I am pain. This account shows a number, not I am lack. You are not forbidding English. You are correcting allegiance. The difference is not semantics. It is sovereignty. And now the turning becomes simple. Once agreement is exposed, it can be withdrawn without struggle. Because you see, it is only a mental signature ink, not life. You do not tear up the picture. You stop signing your name at the bottom. You withdraw the little I and let the great I am fill the space. I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. John 6:35, 8:12. In that recognition, the condition stands without your endorsement, and what stands without your endorsement cannot long stand. We will not fight shadows. We will end the contract by refusing to be the party of the first part. And then, gently, quietly, you will discover that what seemed personal was never you, and what is truly you was never threatened. Now we take the next step, and it is tender. We do not fix the picture, we end the contract. Not with struggle, no, never with struggle, but with a clean, gentle withdrawal. Here is the rhythm. No, no, this is not law, this is not power, this is not my life. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Zechariah 4-6. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46-10. You see, war is another form of consent because it keeps the appearance center stage and asks God to be an assistant stagehand. Grace is sovereignty revealed when you cease to sponsor the scene. Let us put it this way. You are not fighting the body. You are not arguing with the world. You are not shouting at the storm. You are withdrawing mistaken consent from a false premise. The premise says, this has authority over your peace. The correction says, Father, thou art the law here. Reaction would make you a prosecuting attorney. cross-examining sensations and statistics all night. Gentle withdrawal is the judge quietly dismissing the case for lack of jurisdiction. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Exodus 14:13. Or, if you like a homelier image, it is unplugging a lamp that seemed too bright. The glare fades not because you fought photons, but because you remove the current of your agreement. Here is the inner sequence, simple enough for a child and holy enough for a saint. First, pause. Do not hurry. Do not add commentary. Second, feel the impulse to react. Admit it. See it. But do not follow it. No running. No bargaining, no inner speech to justify fear. Third, say softly, no, no, this is not law. This is not power. This is not my life. Fourth, rest one breath. Two, in the awareness, grace is present. Father, reveal thyself here. Do not try to feel something glorious. Do not time the silence. Rest. Come unto me, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. If thoughts return to argue, repeat the sequence without drama. Each repetition is a canceled signature. Each breath is a door left ajar for illumination to enter. Why will strain not work? Because strain is reaction in religious clothing. Strain crowns the appearance and makes healing a future event. And in doing so, it keeps the symptom employed as your supervisor. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Matthew 6:27. Taking thought is the effort to push outcomes. Grace does not push. Grace presences. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Isaiah 30:15. And if you need a New Testament echo, let us labor, therefore, to enter into that rest. Hebrews 4:11. The only labor permitted is the refusal to labor in fear. When the wave rose on Galilee, the master did not row harder. He said, "Peace, be still." Mark 4:39. That is not muscle. That is authority without strain. What then follows when the contract is broken? Fulfillment, not fragments. Health is not a truce with pain. It is life recognized as God being and therefore expressed as order. Supply is not a lucky check in the mail. It is the natural appearing of what already is. In grace, the channel may shift. The source does not. Peace is not a break between storms. It is the government of the heart by presence. The battle is the Lord's. 1 Samuel 17:47. And when you decline to fight, you discover the victory that needed no fight. Good begins to arrive. Whole strength with a task. Wisdom with a decision. Provision with a walk, because grace does not ship piecemeal. Thy grace is my sufficiency. Thy grace is sufficient for me. Try it the next time a twinge speaks or an invoice frowns. Pause. Feel the old choreography. Reach for you. Do not dance. Whisper. No. No. Not law. Not power. Not my life. Turn, Father. Reveal thyself here. Rest. 2 breaths of stillness. Then move as you are led. Make the call if you must. Answer the email if you must, but as one governed from within. You will find that the picture, unendorsed, loses its continuity. The day, unburdened, organizes itself around peace. And you will know by a quiet sign, you are not watching the clock, you are not checking for results, because the result has already occurred. The throne has changed hands. Loose it and let it go. Leave the shadows unsigned. Grace will do what grace always does fulfill. Now we come to the heart of it, the inner act that is not an act, the work that is rest. After you have said no, no to the picture, you must have a yes. And the yes is not to a result. The yes is to God. This is where words fail and presence begins. Abide in me and I in you, John 15:4. That is not technique. That is devotion. You see, management is still the mind trying to arrange the furniture of fear. Communion is the soul turning toward its home and sitting down. In thy presence is fullness of joy. Psalm 16:11. The word is grace. The word is grace. Let me put it very simply. True prayer here is not the counting of thoughts, not the tug of war with anxiety, not even the crafting of beautiful affirmations. True prayer is being with God until the sense of presence takes the government of your being. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That knowing does not come by argument. It comes by nearness. It is as if, on a clear evening, you and the beloved sit by a quiet stream and hold hands. No speeches, no bargaining, only the recognition that love is here and needs no adjectives. Wouldn't you see how conversation itself grows hushed in such a moment? Not because there is nothing to say, but because everything essential is already shared. So it is in communion. Sit, turn within, and let this be your whisper. Open my eyes. Be the light within me. Reveal thy grace's sufficiency here. Then fall silent and let the words dissolve into seeing. No, no, do not time it. Do not peek to ask if it is working. Management times. Presence governs. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Psalm 119-105. A lamp does not argue with the night. It simply shines, and the night is no longer the authority of the room. Illumination dissolves reaction. You will know it by feel long before you can explain it. The breath comes back from the far country. The shoulders descend from their vigil. The nerves cease forecasting. The tongue grows quiet inside you. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. Philippians 4-7. Kept, you see, not by a plan, but by a presence. This is the difference between Martha and Mary in your own house. Martha is not wicked. She is managerial prayer, busy, correct, worried about the correct things. Mary sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. And the Master said, one thing is needful, Luke 10:39-42. Communion is the one thing needful, not because tasks do not matter, but because tasks without presence are performed under the lash of reaction, and tasks with presence are carried by grace. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, Isaiah 40-31. Waiting here is not idleness. It is consenting to be carried. Take these few lines as your doorway, not as formulas, but as ways to soften the edge of thought. Open my eyes. Be the light within me. Reveal thy grace as sufficiency here. Thy grace is my sufficiency. Thy grace is sufficient for me. Then be still. If images rise, do not push them away. Let the lamp be the lamp. If the mind returns to argue, answer gently, no, no, and turn again to the hand you are holding in silence. This is prayer without petition, faith without strain, communion. And what follows? Release follows. In communion, you will find that the clenched fist you had around people loosens. You stop demanding that they be the source of your peace. Loose them and let them go. John 11:44. You stop holding outcomes in bondage. You stop postponing your well-being until conditions obey. You even stop prosecuting yourself in the court of yesterday. Father, forgive them. for they know not what they do, Luke 23:34. And hear it rightly, not only they, but you to yourself, in the long habit of fear. Forgiveness arrives as a byproduct of recognition. In light, there is nothing left to punish. Do not try to make this dramatic. Speak little, see much. Pray without ceasing. 1 Thessalonians 5:17. Is not chatter. It is abiding and inner leaning into presence. While you answer an email, cook a meal, sign a paper, or lie awake in the small hours, the practice is to return, each return an act of government. You are establishing the throne within, not by might, not by power, but by spirit. And as illumination steadies, reaction has nothing to fasten to. The mind stops arguing because there is no case to try. The nervous system stops forecasting because tomorrow has been returned to God. The heart rests, and in that rest, healing is not produced, it is revealed. For the word is grace, and grace fulfills. Now comes the liberty that always follows communion. Loose him and let him go. John 11:44. Take those words and bring them home to the matter that has most frightened you. Loose the body and let it go. Stop supervising it with fear. Take no thought for your body, what ye shall put on. Luke 12. You see, taking thought is not wisdom. It is anxiety, pretending to be care. No, we are not to run the body as a project, counting the minutes of relief and the inches of improvement. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Matthew 6:27. The spirit that forms the lily does not need your stopwatch. The life of your body is God being, expressing, and it breathes more freely the minute you remove your hand from its throat. Well, let us put it this way. If a little bird landed in your palm and you crushed your fingers around it to keep it safe, you would kill the very thing you meant to protect. So it is when we clutch the body with vigilant attention, testing, comparing, predicting. Release the bird. Say within, body, you are not my God. You are an instrument through which life sings. I loose you from my fear. Then turn again to the presence. He giveth his beloved sleep, Psalm 127:2. The rest you grant the body is really the rest you grant yourself when you step back and let grace govern the function, the chemistry, the rhythm. This is not neglect, this is non-bondage. Attend to what love requires. Refuse the tyranny of inspection. Loosed from management, the body ceases to protest the manager. Now extend this liberty to people. Resentment is an agreement. It is the quiet yes that says you have power over my peace. No, no. Owe no man anything but to love one another, Romans 13:8. Agree every day that no man owes you anything, not apology, not repayment, not understanding, not reform. And agree also that you owe no man anything but love. That is not hard-heartedness. That is holy-heartedness, because it releases both of you from a false economy of debts. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Matthew 6:12. Forgiveness here is not excusing harm. It is refusing to be bonded to the appearance of harm. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Luke 23:34. And hear it rightly. They do not know what they do to themselves when they injure love, nor do you know what you do to yourself when you maintain the ledger. Close the ledger. Loose him and let him go. Not because you must like the story he told in your life, but because you will not live under that story's jurisdiction another hour. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Isaiah 54-17 is not bravado. It is identity. Once you refuse to sign the injury as me, it loses your electricity. And now to the hidden altar, where many kneel without noticing. When you demand a person, or a doctor, or a method, or a timetable, you are worshiping the channel and ignoring the source. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils. Isaiah 2:22. Do not despise channels. God uses instruments. The practitioner, the physician, the medicine, the diet, the treatment, they may be fine tools, but they are not God. When you say, unless I see Dr. So-and-so, unless it is done by Friday, unless this method works, you have put your peace in a cage and handed the key to a creature. No, no. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. Seek the source and do not decide the root. Then watch how channels multiply. One door, quiet as dawn, opens, then another, and you marvel that you ever thought there was only one. Let me give you a little picture to keep in your pocket. A woman once clung to a certain specialist as to an ark and nearly drowned in her own fear when he left the city. In her exhaustion, she whispered, Father, thou art the health of my countenance. Psalm 42-11. She loosed the man, loosed the timetable, loosed the outcome, and in 2 days a neighbor brought her to a simple therapist she would never have considered. In a week she found herself stronger. In a month she could not remember how to worry as professionally as she used to. Did the method save her? No. Grace did. The method was a channel that could be recognized only when the idol was down. Lastly, loose the outcome. Do not hold results in bondage to your calendar or your graph. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Matthew 6:34, which is to say, sufficient unto the day is the grace thereof. Cast the weight of the when and the how into God. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Psalm 55-22. Reaction always asks, are we there yet? Recognition says, God is here, and walks on. And here is the gentle irony. When you are free of channels, channels abound. When you are free of outcomes, outcomes arrive as fulfillment, whole, timely, effortless to carry because they are carried. So hear the command as kindness. Loose the body and let it go. Loose the person and let him go. Loose the outcome and let it go. Agree every day that no man owes you anything and that you are indebted to no man but to love. Do not hold them in bondage. Not the selves, not the faces, not the tomorrows. Turn again to communion. Let governance be within. Let grace be source. The word is grace. The word is grace. And when you stop holding, you will find that grace has been holding you all along. It will come. It will come as fulfillment because grace does not ship parts. Now let us speak plainly and fix the rule in your heart. We do not look to man for life, health, or supply. Man may be an instrument, never the source. The practitioner, the physician, the employer, the client, the account, the method. These are lovely wires, but electricity does not come from the wire. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and cometh down from the Father of lights. James 1:17. Except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that build it. Psalm 127-1. So the word is grace. The word is grace. You see, fear thrives on dependence. Dependence is the quiet certificate that says, this channel is my life. And then, the minute the channel trembles, reaction flames up. The minute a doctor moves, or a market shifts, or a friend grows silent, you feel your peace run to the door. Why? Because you had already signed the old contract. You had granted the appearance jurisdiction. No, no. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils. Isaiah 2:22. We honor instruments, but we do not worship them. We thank the mailman, but we do not stand in terror lest he change his route. Our trust rests in the sender. Now let us put it this way. Do not despise the wire because it is not the power. Receive assistance gratefully, medicine, counsel, treatment, employment. Use what love provides, but refuse bondage to any of it. Channels change, source never does. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:19. If a channel closes, bow and say, Father, thou art the continuity of good. Reveal thy next avenue, and then be still long enough for grace to choose its road. Don't decide who or what. Don't pick the instrument and then demand God bless your choice. Seek the kingdom. Let the kingdom select the tools. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. Proverbs 3-5. A small story, if it will help you see. A man had for years called his firm my bread. When the firm changed hands, he felt his breath shorten and his nights grow long. In his panic, he took a walk and heard within, Look unto me and be ye saved. Isaiah 45-22. He stopped in the quiet street and whispered, Thy grace is my sufficiency. He thanked the old channel, loosed it, and refused to decide the next. Within a fortnight, a former customer, hearing of the sale, wrote to ask for consultative help the man had never offered before. A week later, 2 such letters stood beside it. Did the letters save him? No. Grace did. The letters were instruments that could be seen only when the idol was down. Why is this central to healing? Because reaction is fed by leverage, and leverage is granted wherever we locate our safety in a creature. The symptom shouts, You need this man, this method, this timing. And the heart, unguarded, answers, Yes, that is my life. And the flame is fed. But when God is source in your awareness, the symptom loses its bargaining power. You cannot be threatened with the loss of a channel when your peace is not in the channel. As dependence ends, reaction lessens. As reaction lessens, the condition stands without legal standing in consciousness. It becomes a picture without endorsement, a claim without your signature, and what you will not sign cannot collect. So take this as your practice in the day's ordinary traffic. When you reach for help, pause one breath sooner and say within, Father, thou art the doer, the law, the life here. Choose thy instrument. Then move as led, call, receive, apply, but as one unattached. If the avenue shifts, bless it and turn. Take therefore no thought for the morrow, Matthew 6:34. Does not forbid planning, it forbids bondage to plans. Live today by source, and let channels appear and disappear like obedient waves at your feet. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. Zechariah 4-6. The word is grace. The word is grace. Agree every day that no man owes you anything, that no channel governs your peace, that God alone is the fountain. Then watch how fear loses its leverage, how reaction has fewer hooks, how conditions starved of your consent, drift back into the sea from which they rose. And you will know it by this ease: gratitude without clinging, assistance without anxiety, movement without tremor, God as source, everything else as channel. It will come. It will come as fulfillment, because grace does not ship parts. Now let us make it very simple and very daily. You see, agreement does not collapse because you made one splendid declaration last night. Agreement weakens because you withdraw it in little ways, many times, until reaction is no longer your measure of reality. The word is grace. The word is grace. And so we will take 3 short pauses: morning, midday, evening, 3 minutes each, not as magic, not as bargaining, but as the steady government of your inner court. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalm 118-24. Morning before the feet touch the floor. Step 1, identify the day's loudest appearance. Name it without story, without prophecy. There is a twinge in the back. There is a due bill. There is that call at 2. Do not add weather to it. Do not forecast. Just name the impulse to react. Step 2, the negation. No, this has no authority in the presence of God. Say it softly, inwardly, as one declining to sign a paper. Not angry, not forceful, simply sovereign. Step 3, the affirmation as communion. Thy grace is sufficient. Grace is present. I rest in the kingdom. Then be still 1 quiet minute. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46-10. No peeking to see if it worked. Seek the presence, not the proof. Seal this morning pause with 1 small refusal to live by reaction. Do not make the first act of your day a compulsive check. No news scroll, no symptom inspection, no bank balance, no messages. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, Matthew 6:33. Let God be first. Let channels line up as they will. Midday, somewhere between tasks, perhaps when the stomach would like to rehearse concerns. Step 1, catch what has tried to move the throne since morning. There is the email unanswered, the face that frowned, the ache that returned. Name it. Don't narrate it. Step 2, no, this has no authority in the presence of God. Jurisdiction closed. Step 3, thy grace is sufficient. Grace is present. I rest in the kingdom. Then 1 minute of holy stillness. Pray without ceasing. 1 Thessalonians 5:17. Is not chatter. It is this abiding. For the seal, refuse 1 midday compulsion that feeds fear's economy. Do not reopen the headline. Do not check the market graph. Do not remeasure the symptom. Do not read the thread that asks for argument. You are proving to yourself that tomorrow is God's. That evidence does not hire you as its clerk. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Matthew 6:27. Taking thought feeds the meter. Grace cancels the account. Evening, when you return to the quiet house and the day would like to hold a trial. Step 1, lay the heaviest picture on the altar and speak it without drama. There is the conversation unfinished, the bill unpaid, the nerves still singing. Step 2, no, this has no authority in the presence of God. Step 3, thy grace is sufficient. Grace is present. I rest in the kingdom. Sit 1 minute under that lamp. He giveth his beloved sleep. Psalm 127-2. For the seal, Set a night fast from supervision. Refuse to patrol the body in the dark. Refuse to check messages in bed. Refuse to budget tomorrow under the covers. Take therefore no thought for the morrow, Matthew 6:34. Turn on your side, and let the government of your being be upon his shoulder. The world may count sheep. You will count on grace. Do you see the wisdom in these little withdrawings? Each naming without story denies the appearance of costume. Each no cancels the signature. Each 1 minute abiding returns the scepter to the presence. And the seals, these small refusals, are your behavioral amen. They teach the body and the mind that peace is not on a screen, not in a ledger, not in a report from the senses. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet. Psalm 119 to 105. You need only enough light for the next step. And in grace, the next step is always given with the road. Make this your measure for a week. Not how quiet the symptoms are, not how full the mailbox is, but how many times you caught and canceled agreement. Count that if you must count it all. Agreement is broken by small, faithful withdrawals repeated until reaction no longer tells you what is real. And then you will discover the gentlest sign of dominion. You forget to monitor because there is nothing left to monitor. You are carried. The word is grace. The word is grace. It will come. It will come as fulfillment because grace does not ship parts.